And we are live with our 67th installment of Nansen Office Hours. GM, thank you for joining us today. Drop your GMs in the chat, please. My name is Alex. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Nansen. Sometimes people call me the token god. If you're new to our office hours, every Wednesday we do a Nansen and Chill sessions. Nansen and Chill session, where we do three things. We look at Nansen's new features, we answer questions from you, and we drop the occasional alpha leak. And today we have the head of alpha leaks himself, Barto, joining us. Welcome back, Barto.
Thanks for having me. I hope people aren't getting sick of me. They're just like, oh, another Barto. But we got to bring the alpha every week. So
I think they like it. We get a lot of good feedback. So good. I think people are excited. In fact, I need to tweet separately, but I'll do that when you take over the wheel here for the screen. We see some GMs in the chat. That's nice. How has your week been so far, Barto?
Very good. We had a lot of fun with Coinbase's announcement the other day, where Kobe tweeted an account, and some people were watching it in real time as this madman was just buying 50K of some terrible tokens. But so that was fun.
So I saw that tweet, and I also saw the wallet, but I didn't track it very carefully. So did they keep buying like after the announcement, or like what?
I don't think they kept. They may have after the announcement, but they essentially woke up and were like, "I'm going to buy every single one of these coins." And so it was like rack up 40%, this coin up 40%, and after a while, you're like, "Wait, what's going on here?" Like this.
Also
crazy.
These coins have such low liquidity in many cases that maybe they were the markets. Like this wallet
exactly.
And pumped them, right?
I wonder what Uniswap told them their like markup was going to be, like what their what their lot, like their depth was. It was like you put in a $50,000 buy order, it's like 23%. Like it's crazy. It's fun.
Okay.
But also today we have a very special we have ETH DevCon 5 shirt, and from Osaka. I don't wear this very often because it's like the reserve. It's like the grand reserve of like Ethereum shirts.
That's cool. I was at that DevCon.
Oh yeah.
But I wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't have a ticket.
Okay. Yeah.
And then went to the side events. I went to one of the 0x and Hummingbot events. I remember, and went to a nice izakaya with other folks afterwards. So you were there as well?
No, I wasn't actually. Someone got me the shirt. Yeah. But I have a funny story. So then a family friend once, they emailed me and they're like, "Hey, I think I'm getting into crypto. Like, what should I buy?" And I was like, "Well, do you have the family Christmas card?" And I was like, "I'm wearing an Ethereum shirt in that Christmas card." And so it was like, just go to your refrigerator and look at me. And like, there I am, like me and my dog, and like an Ethereum t-shirt. So it's like, yeah, that's how much that's my advice. Like, you don't need to know anything else. Like,
that's hilarious. I also have a nice shirt today. Check it out.
Yeah, that's a beauty. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Oh, wow. Nansen Alpha. Ooh.
Yeah. Rare.
Whoa. This is like Grand Reserve Day. I like this. This is nice.
Yeah. Rare or legendary? I'm not sure. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. Excellent.
Okay. Should we just dive in, or do you want to give an intro? I don't think you need an intro anymore. People can go back and watch the past episodes for the intro.
Yeah. So my 2 seconds is I used to be a data scientist. Now snooping around on the blockchain for fun things using Nansen a lot, BigQuery a lot of different tools, and you can find some really great things. And we're having a lot of fun. That's the key.
That's good. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So you want to share your screen, and I'll bring it up here.
Yeah, let's dive in. So can you see my screen now?
I can.
Excellent. Working out the kinks from last time. So there's so many things to do, but kind of I think today we may explore Arbitrum. Actually, I want to talk about playing defense, defending like your position against other positions. I also have the chat open too, and I'm terrible at managing multiple things at once. Playing defense, and maybe we could look at Rook's Rare. Yeah, Sandra, let's look at Rook's Rare. I was also looking at the Curve Wars last night, which was like the worst decision I've ever made in my life, because it's just so complicated about who owns what. But it kind of reminded me of like back in college where you have to like prove, it's like, oh, prove the integral of this, or like prove the Gaussian distribution. Sorry to talk about data already, but you can kind of like prove on chain, like who owns what in the curve wars just by going through Nansen. So maybe we'll take a look at that. But I wanted to start, oh, and we also have, I think I want to instill a new tradition on this show where we start every week by looking at where Alameda is the top LP in a pool. So last week we saw Deus Finance, or last time we saw Deus Finance, which Alameda was the top depositor in there, or the top owner of the token. So I'm currently trialing Nansen query, excuse me. And so shout out to the team there for putting together a really nice product. Allows you to essentially query AVAX and Phantom. And so I've been looking at just top flows of certain tokens on Avalanche every day. And staked AVAX via Benki is just exploding recently. And you can actually see that if we go to DeFi Llama, and you can see that staked AVAX is just on this tear. Oh, that's funny. I told somebody about that yesterday. So actually we may be able to see this. So you can see since this launched, it's just exploded in TVL. And so you can kind of just get the sense of like, okay, maybe Benki is winning the staked, AVAX wars. Everything, this is a war. So what I was doing yesterday was I was just looking at staked AVAX and kind of like who owns it and who's been going in. And I wonder if we can find that 40 million, because it seems like somebody yesterday deposited almost $40 million of AVAX into, or the DeFi Llama contract got updated or something like that. So what I just did was I just went to token God mode and went to token distribution. I like the new tabs, by the way. Very nice, very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How you feel about the new? I feel like it's a bit more focused now, but yeah, how do you?
Yeah, feel? It was funny. I think you were talking with Nansen last week, and that was a really good one. So people should watch that one too. Shout out to Nansen. I think you said you were fighting to keep this in, and I like 1,000,000,000% agree. I think the balance changes in the last 7 days is like a beautiful way to kind of figure out what's going on, like right now and then. But yeah, I think moving this around, because this exchange tab, like it's helpful, but the first thing you see, I don't think, like in terms of like user experience and flow, I think it's good to have this on the last tab.
Agree.
But then here, like I envision like the electric car version being like having metrics related to that token. So like, for example, if you had like Trader Joe, you could see, if you went to the Trader Joe page, you could see like what's Trader Joe's trading volume, or how does Trader Joe compare to other like exchanges or things like that.
Like what's kind of like the one metric that matters for that protocol, or this is something we discussed quite a bit. I think the somewhat technical name we've used internally is like path dependent dashboards, but what we mean is more like conditional dashboards. Like it depends on the category of whatever you're looking at. So if you're plugging in a smart contract into Wallet Profiler, you probably care about different metrics than if you're just plugging in like an externally owned account. And the same thing with tokens. If you're plugging in like a staking token, it's different from like a DEX token or governance token or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So something interesting there. Yeah, I like that.
Good point. So if you go to the staked AVAX wrapped AVAX pool, we kind of did this last week where we're just seeing like who's LPing in this pool, just to get an idea of like, who the top owners of it and what people are doing. And once again, our friends, Alameda Research, the top LP. What I love about this is they don't mess around here. They have one transaction in, and then they have one transaction out of 2,000 AVAX. So they deposited on the first go. What would that be, like 125,000 to AVAX and 125 stake to AVAX? So some heavy hitters here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And some other smart money too. And I bet I had to sleep last night, which, people do every once in a while. I bet you could this person here is probably important. Or this person here is probably important. Just because they have a lot of AVAX. So you can kind of go through this in like wallet profile, but it's like a new tradition on the show.
Oh, Dan, why didn't you? I was curious on that one. Why don't we have a look at that?
Oh, yeah. It's okay. Let's do it.
Unlabeled.
Unlabeled. Let's see if we can get a label out of this. Exactly. No Alameda transaction to say. Let's see if they are on ETH. It kind of looks like this person just sent AVAX a while ago. Now they're buying some Joe. See if they can. So we can kind of see like, okay, where did they get their AVAX from? Or where do they get their AVAX in general? So if you go, well, we'll also see if they're on ETH too, because so here, you gotta test with 3 before you send $1 million. So this is interesting here because they sent 3 AVAX as their first transaction to his wallet from this address, and then they sent it over from another address. So, okay. So here we're just kind of seeing like where this first address who sent it to them is getting all their AVAX. You could probably then just go back into Nansen, and then let's actually just see if this person's on ETH. Okay, so they're not on ETH. Okay, so they're just using AVAX for this wallet.
Can you go to like the counterparties tab on that wallet, because normally that's what we'd want to see, but we only have incoming tokens and outgoing tokens. I think it's because, without getting too technical, it's because we don't have internal transactions yet for Avalanche, but when we can actually include like the ETH flow and where that comes from. Now you just see which tokens, which is kind of not so helpful. But for this use case, like this is to the product people watching, to Mickey, the product owner of the DeFi squad. What we want here, the use case is just to figure out like where did they get their AVAX from, right? And now you have to go to Etherscan to figure that out. But actually, we would want to get that directly in the UI probably with Nansen.
Yeah. So this is the third. Okay. So this is the third largest person. So you can see here all this beautiful information about what they're doing. So this is like what I talk about crypto being like kind of like this is like a trivia contest, because you kind of have to figure out like, okay, what did they buy before? What kind of rounds have they raised? Or like where are they sending their? So they're LPing a lot of things. They're into Frax. This person's like probably just like an LPer. And then we could go over to like DBank or something like that and like look at how much money they have across. But for the most part, this person, not much information here. So but you can set alerts for this. You can see, okay, who's coming in and out. Keep going. So there you go. Alameda.
So those are, even though we don't know who they are, like they're pretty interesting wallets to watch, and they seem to be quite big, and they're in good company with Sue and Sam.
Exactly. Sue and Sam, the Breakfast Club. Sue and Sam. So there you go. So one of the things I wanted to do is talk about playing defense, because I think that a lot of times finding alpha is good, finding great projects is good, but how do you avoid scams, and how do you make sure you're keeping on track with your token, and make sure you're not getting dumped on or anything like that. So something that I was looking at a while back was MUSE. It's just something that I keep on my radar every once in a while. And I think it's a good exercise if you have a token of like low liquidity or just low market cap in general, to just get a sense of, who owns the token and where and how are you kind of exposed to if someone just dumps it. And so the way I think about defense is kind of like, the smaller the token or the less liquid or just, the less amount of people that hold it, the more defense you have to play versus something like Aave, where if someone sells $2 million of Aave, it's probably going to be fine. Unless, a founder sells it, then that's going to be bad. But for the most part, if you're just buying Aave, you probably don't have to do that much defense. But if you're buying something like MUSE, which has I believe it's like a $40 million market capitalization, you probably want to play a lot of defense because you want to try and figure out, okay, who's going in and out of the token, what's going on, and like how can I be exposed to certain events. So if you were to do this for all of your tokens, just go into token god mode and then, okay, just put in MUSE, you can kind of see, okay, where am I going to be exposed? So this actually looks pretty good right now because you have a lot of people, about 21% in the staking pool, 10% in, the ETH pool, multi-sig. The co-founder is probably not going to dump. And you can kind of see like, okay, where, Gnosis is safe, that's okay. So right now this looks pretty good, but what happened about 3 weeks ago is that you can see here right around Saturday on the 19th of March, the token was at 15, and then all of a sudden it jumped to 21. So you can see like what happened here by going to token movements. And if we put MUSE in here.
So while you plug that in, I mean, this is a really good workflow where you see on the price chart something happen, like there was some spike, and then you just go to token movements and literally plug in some days before and some days after, and you just see, it answers the question very often, like what actually happened there, like who was buying it. Right?
Yes, exactly. And sometimes it's just random, you just chalk it up to randomness, but the less liquid and the lower market cap something is, generally like either somebody is pushing up the price or somebody is, some exchange, maybe they're like accumulating a lot of it. Okay, so here, right, this kind of stands out pretty well, right? Because you have medium dex trader buys 11,000 MUSE. The second largest transaction in the period was, only 500 MUSE. So if you go to Etherscan, you can clearly see this person. Let's go to ERC20 transactions. You can clearly see here, this person is buying lots of about 600 MUSE, and they're doing it at March 19th at 10:39 UTC, which is adjusted for time zone, this transaction. So you can kind of see, yeah, right here, this person bought a whole bunch of MUSE and token spikes. So what I would do,
so they basically pop up very clearly.
They pop up MUSE, yeah,
and you can just like drill down on that wallet, and you can
confirm,
they're definitely buying it.
Right. So what I would do, 100%, absolutely, is set in a smart alert for this wallet. And you could already have smart alerts for MUSE in general, like over a different size or whatnot. But for this one,
So, sorry to interrupt you again, but try clicking on medium dex trader here.
Oh, it's going to get interesting. Don't
worry.
No,
wait. You went too fast. Okay. Like check the menu. Create smart alert.
Oh, wow.
You know that? That's a new feature.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you just link out and you just create a smart alert for this person.
That's right.
That's really nice. I like that. I didn't even know that. So I learn a lot from even just being on this show. I just wander around and you guide me and then just tell me all these things.
Cool. But I interrupted you again. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So this is good. And we're going to show something even better coming up. But so this person buys a whole bunch of MUSE. And then they buy some redacted. That's fine. Then they buy more MUSE. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And so then what happens is on this day right here, on March 31st, they approve MUSE on 1inch. Now, why is this important? Well, because this person has not approved to sell the tokens before. So if you have a blanket alert for this person, you will get an alert for this transaction. They are almost like tipping their hat that they are going to sell all of their MUSE. So remember when MUSE went up by 40, 35%, what do you think happens when this person sells? I will leave it. I will show you exactly what will happen when this person sells.
Okay. Wow.
So, but what's very interesting about this is that they wait 2 days, but they wait 4 days actually. So if you're sitting at your computer, or if you're out to dinner and you're at a bar and you get an alert like, hey, large MUSE account just approved to sell on 1inch MUSE, get out of the bar, go home. Like, you may want to rethink how much MUSE do you have? Are you comfortable with your MUSE position because this person is coming? But then they don't do anything for 4 days. So it's interesting that they sort of tip their hat and are like, hey, I'm thinking about selling. You may want to get out of the way.
Yeah. Could it be that they were using basically the gasless sale feature of 1inch, or because then they would approve and then set up some off-chain order to sign messages, right?
Yeah.
Because
also a possibility.
Because to me, it also seems kind of weird that they would just flag to the world, hey, I might sell soon.
Right. Either way, what's coming next, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We know.
So they're basically set up for selling it.
Yeah. So let's see. Then 4 days later, on April 3rd, you can clearly, I think we need to go back more time. You can clearly see April 2nd, Sunday, you wake up, have some brunch, and it's at 26, and now this person sold. And you can see, if you were looking at this at the 24-hour, it was just dramatic. This person just, I think they did it in, I don't think they did it in one go, but they really just sold all of it. And then the token came down. So here, this is not one transaction, but yeah, you can kind of get the sense hey, we were here at 26, this person sold all of it and dropped it down to 20. You're still higher than you were from 15 to 20. So depending on the slippage, this person may have made money, but it's kind of a very good lesson that if you have a token like MUSE, which right now the market cap is $13 million, the fully diluted is only 14 million. A $200,000 transaction or something like that can have a serious impact on the price.
On that note, also in CoinGecko, you can see the actual estimated slippage, right? How much does it take? If you go to, I think it's markets, is it? Or it's here. There you go.
Yeah.
So there we go. A $50,000 sell will basically move the price 2%.
Right. So if you're selling 500,000, obviously the math is much more complicated than that, but you get the idea. Right. Yeah. If you're gonna sell one on one order where the total volume is five times less, it won't work out for that.
So one thing that we've talked about a few times before on Nansen office hours is that you could actually use these depth numbers to inform your smart alerts, right? If you wanted to have a threshold for a transfer, maybe this is a good rule of thumb that you just here you'd say set 50,000 or something that's half of it, or what, depending on what you're trying to do, right?
Exactly.
But as you said earlier, if you looked at Aave on the same page, that number is going to be super different. It's going to be way more than 50. It's going to be way less than 50,000, right?
Right. And I think people underestimate how good the liquidity is for certain things.
Yeah.
And I'll show you another example of this. So yeah, like Coinbase, you have 11 million.
Well, the depth is 1.8.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
So
Yeah.
if someone dumped $1.8 million on Coinbase, that would move the price down 2%.
Right.
Whereas the same number was like 50,000 with MUSE.
Exactly. Oh, so yeah, that's surprising. That Uniswap, 68,000. So yeah, you really. So I'm surprised you're just doing this.
Yeah, that's kind of not great. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it just means there's not a ton of liquidity for Aave in Uniswap.
Yeah. But yeah, you would probably use. I mean.
And also the other thing is here we're looking at individual exchanges, but as you can see very clearly, there's a ton of exchanges here. So
yeah,
if some whale like is doing an OTC deal here, whoever is executing that trade could just spread it out across a bunch of exchanges, right? So
yeah, exactly.
The aggregated number, maybe does it show that actually, like the aggregate number? Of course, again, the math becomes a bit more complex, but we're talking about like millions of dollars to move the price 3%.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because then they could have some like prime brokerage offering, which like routes it through like all these different trades, and so yeah, so it's important to kind of like know, exactly what your depth is, what your volume is, to kind of give a sense of like how to set the smart alert, or if someone's already just pushed the price, just set a blanket smart alert.
Yeah.
And then I have to show this one. It's so good. This person. I just want to have lunch with you for this strategy. So I was following a ribbon a while ago, and here's like another good example of someone who like where you should set the smart alert for. I may have to open my Discord to find it, but ribbon is another one of those tokens that like you would think would have a lot of liquidity because it's like airdrop to a whole bunch of people. It is listed on a lot of exchanges, but the liquidity is terrible. It's crazy to me, actually. Yeah, like
even worse than the other one. Maybe there's no liquidity incentives, unlike with MUSE, where there are some incentives to be a liquidity provider in Uniswap.
Yeah. See, I don't think this is even correct. But I'm just gonna.
Well, we can look. I mean, we can look at Nansen just to see how much ribbon is sitting. If you look up ribbon in token god mode, you'll see which dexes have some amount of ribbon, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good way to use it. I need to get this ribbon person. Yeah, let's look at exchanges. Yeah, so
okay, yeah. Look at that chart though. Like it's where did it flow out from? Is that from Uniswap? Coinbase.
It is from Coinbase, yeah. Which is very interesting to me. This is
could be. I mean, it could be someone withdrawing. It could also be that they've just Coinbase reshuffled, and we for some reason did not pick up the new addresses.
Oh yeah, that's true.
For the attribution need to look into. But yeah, it could be a withdrawal. But
yeah,
Uniswap,
so
very little though. Like on that chart too, right? Uniswap, we have 100% coverage on Uniswap. Like no, so those ones we track with very, very high recall. And so 3.2 mil here, right? Token. What's the unit price of the token? Like, is it around $1 or something?
Yeah, it's like 97 cents.
So that's like 3.2 mil sitting in Uniswap pools.
Yeah. So it's okay.
It's a lot less than MUSE though, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so here, so this is probably just Coinbase right here. If Coinbase token channel is moving to a token millionaire, they're probably just reshuffling.
Yeah.
So actually, if you this is a good. Hopefully this works. And what you can come across a lot It's like these cold storage wallets. I don't have an example off the top of my head, but you'll see that like Coinbase will transfer a coin to a wallet that just owns Ribbon or just owns a single token. But what's interesting is like it's all the same amount. So you'll see like 40 transactions of 19,524 and like all the decimal points are the same.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
it's probably some environment variable they have for their scripts internally, and I've seen them regularly change them. So for a while they use this amount, and if the price changes, so they probably have some triggers. If the price drops a lot, they will just change the amount. So it's supposed to be, let's say, something like $10 million for each batch.
Oh yeah,
that's what I would guess. Yeah. What is, if you look up that target though, the token millionaire in like Wallet Profiler or Wallet Profile for token, I wonder if we can see.
Oh yeah.
Of what it is.
Let's go.
By the way, I'm like neglecting the chat.
A lot of GMs.
A lot of GMs. Alex is saying no Alameda transaction is safe in Barto.
I realized like 5 more. I wanted to like pace it out because.
Yeah, look at this. I learned to do a trick here. You can put like the chat messages up on the screen. I'm such a bad what do we call this, vlogger or like
yeah.
I don't know how to do this stuff.
Zero vlogging experience. It's just me and my dog right now.
I learned this new trick. We should also get a jingle which I can play at random times, and then that'll be fun.
That is cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the alpha leaks here.
Okay, okay. So here what we did was we just hit token deposit, wallet profiler for token for Ribbon for this token millionaire account where Coinbase has sent, and we ran into our old friends like once again. Just like that's okay, interesting. So they're just like they probably just like made the top. I would assume this would be this is a lot.
I wonder if it's crypto.com. I mean that token.
Well, I think this is just. I think it's Coinbase because, this is just like the crypto.com token.
Yeah.
And but so also, like,
why have that many crypto.com token? That's kind of an odd.
Oh yeah.
Not right. But if you look at, if you scroll up a bit and just see, so it gets Ether from where? Like, okay, primarily Coinbase. Yeah, I think you're probably right. And then outgoing, these are withdrawals to Celsius. Yeah, there's a lot of Crow. What about, can you go back to the first tab, like the overview, and just click show more on the labels? Because it does have...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, why are we arguing? Yeah.
Coinbase. It is Coinbase. Yeah. So then it's just kind of some kind of weird glitch on the name. So the label of Coinbase is there. So you're right then. It is actually Coinbase.
But yeah, I think we talked about this before, like kind of like ranking labels is like a science of itself, right? Because
that's right.
You can't really like code this like, hey, Coinbase is the most important. You just know intuitively. But
we do have an algorithm for it. It's sort of like based on term frequency, or like it's like kind of like TF-IDF again, without going too much down the data science rabbit hole. But basically, the rarer labels should have precedence. But sometimes that doesn't work because Coinbase is actually a pretty common label because there's so many of them, and so then you need to have some additional like importance or interestingness kind of metric. Right.
That makes sense. So let's check out this Ribbon person, B737.eth. So I don't know if they were a big seller of Ribbon this past week. One of the things you can do is just look at just look at top DEX trades and see like, oh, who's trading. there's something funny about this. There's two funny things about this wallet. I'm not going to say the second thing, but the first thing is they did something very funny where, so I had a smart alert for this person actually, because I was just curious, like, to see what they do with all this ribbon. And what they did was, let's see if we can find it here. So on, I've been laughing about this for a week. Like, honestly, like, I've been just get up, I laugh about this, I go to work, I laugh, and then I don't really go to work, but so this person has all this ribbon, then they approved it at this contract. And what about this contract is you can see that this is the ribbon voting escrow contract. So if you had an alert for ribbon and you saw this come in, you'd be like, oh, good, this person's going to approve it, or they're going to stake it and VE ribbon. Well, that's not what they did. That's the exact opposite they did. They approved this transaction to go into vested ribbon, and they just dumped ribbon. Just dumped ribbon in 100,000.
Oh, was that just psyops then? Like, they approved?
I think so.
Wow.
I think they were trying to fool everyone. Like, hey, these on-chain sleuths, like, I'm gonna stake it. But in reality, they didn't do that.
I feel like a whale approval smart alert would be quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone who owns more than X and any approvals they make, you get a smart alert for.
Yeah, because this one was and then I mean the market was selling off, like obviously a bit last week, but if you look at ribbon, I think it was like at 1.4 when this person started, and you can probably, like, if you blind these up 6 days ago, it's obviously under constant sell pressure, right? Like, it's just, so I think, like, the main takeaway of this is, like, playing defense. Yeah, you need to look at, like, okay, who can move tokens? Just be aware of that, set alerts, and then kind of, like, see where they're going. It's kind of my main takeaway.
Yeah. I mean, if we take a step back here, I think a lot of people are a bit concerned that this is sort of vesting season. There are a lot of rounds that were raised in the last, 18 to 24 months. And some of these tokens are up for vesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess one way to play defense is also to try to, when you find these vesting contracts, to set up smart alerts on the vesting contracts, because that means effectively that tokens are being unlocked into the circulating supply and might get dumped, right?
Exactly.
And, like, in my anecdotal experience, you would think that if you are a large investor in some token, that, like, the second it unlocks, people would sort of vest it and potentially sell. But in my anecdotal experience, that's not what happens. Like, people can often be quite slow at vesting, so you can be one step out of the game. But having a smart alert on means that someone vested from the vesting contract, and there might be more unlocks coming in the next, hours or days.
It's funny that you say that, because I was joking with someone the other day. Like, I don't think some people even remember that they own all these tokens, because I was going around the curve wars the other day, and let's say this one whale has so many different curve positions that, like, I don't think they even remember.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, so I think, first of all, some relatively small crypto funds have invested in a lot of stuff, and like, they've done really well. So how much does it matter that they have, like, another $1 million worth of some token?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make a huge difference. Of course, that is not to say that there aren't people doing this in a very professional manner, because there definitely is. Like, you have a lot of people managing this, I'm sure, very, very diligently. But some of these smaller crypto funds that have done extremely well, they have tons of positions, lots of unlocks coming up, and also some angels who, frankly, might not be as professional, or they don't have the bandwidth to set this up in a good way. I mean, I would even say that, again, I'm plugging Nansen here, but that's what we do at Nansen office hours, right? But even for those funds and angels, like, they should have their own smart alerts on the vesting contracts for themselves to just remember, hey,
Yeah.
don't just release tokens
Yeah.
from this thing you invested in.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
I want to get an alert from that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Now it's ready to be vested, right? So anyway, I think this is kind of, it's a theme that's going to be important for the next like many months, that you're going to have vesting unlocks, and it plays right into this overall theme of defense that you're talking about here, that you want to make sure that you're ahead of the game when people are approving, when they're unlocking vested tokens and so on.
Yeah, exactly. That actually reminds me, I think we can do another thing here. So we can set up smart alerts for the actual staking contracts too for certain projects. So I was taking a look at Deus Finance a bit ago, and so they was this rename. So they had a balancer pool. So like, let's say you're staking Deus in some sort of balancer vault, or I think you can. Oh no, sorry, I was looking at DEI. Okay, that's it. So okay, so Deus Finance is a stablecoin project. They have a stablecoin called DEI. With all these projects, I spent 2 seconds explaining it, and I haven't done a good job, so I'm sorry. But essentially, if you go on to DeFi Llama and you put in Deus, they're tracking their stablecoin DEI, how much TVL it is, right? So if you are staking DEI, and you can do it on Solidity, you can USDC DEI, and you get pretty good yields. I think it's like 40% of some reward token, something like that. You can set an alert for this itself to see who is pulling money in and out of it. And you can see over the reason why I was looking at this is because there was a huge outflow of DEI from one of the contracts, just like over the weekend. See, I can't keep these straight. So yeah, you have this like beautiful growth up, right? Kind of flat lines off, and then on April 9th, someone collectively pulled $14 million from it. The token was down pretty significantly too. So what you want to do, obviously, is you want to set a smart alert for this contract, and you don't have to do every single person coming in, but if someone pulls out $5 million of a $50 million staking pool, like that's very important to know. And so you can see, like, right in Nansen, okay, I think we said it was about like $17,000. Yeah, numbers line up, right? So 14 million pulled out of here, $2 million here. And I think there was a balancer pool somewhere. But what we can do is then we can kind of like zoom in to see like what the activity actually was. And I was playing around with this. I may have to just get the address, but you can kind of see that there was one address that pulled just like a lot of money out. So yeah, right here you have some culprits, right? So I don't remember if this was the exact address, but you can see this person, pulled 7 million. And I think, is there a last out? But you would have gotten this alert of, okay, someone, oh yeah, here we go. So last out, right? So 4 hours ago, this person pulled, I don't know if it was the exact amount, but you can get these alerts in real time of like who is pulling what out, which is very important, obviously, because if you're in a very volatile staking pool, you want to know who's coming in and out. Yep. And I have the, let me just find this address, because this is like a good combination of using Nansen for like smart alerts, then identifying who it is. So there was a wallet that pulled over the weekend that was responsible for about 7 million. Oh, my copy paste didn't work. There was a wallet over the weekend that pulled like about 7. Oh, this was that active on Avalanche person. Okay, good. So the wallet pulled $7 million of DEI over the weekend. So we can kind of like try and figure out who this person is. This one luckily is pretty easy because our friends at Genesis Trading comes up right here. This is just such an underutilized tool, by the way, wallet pair profiler.
Yeah, so the context on that for people who don't know it is basically in Wallet Profiler, if you scroll all the way down, you can see all the wallets that the target wallet you're looking at have interacted with. And all the way to the right, you can drill down and just look at the specific transactions between that target wallet and any of these counterparties.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we found, okay, this wallet that pulled money out that's labeled as active on Phantom. We just scroll down to top interacting wallets. Yeah, all the way to the right, we can see where wallet pair profiler. And we can see once this loads that 70 days ago, Genesis Trading does a test transaction here. And then they send 7 million, 6 million, and then 500,000. So, I mean, you can't, just come out and say this is Genesis Trading, but the fact, I mean, my wallet has never gotten $14 million just given to me. So
this is a tricky one though, right? Because Genesis Trading, I mean, it's like a lending desk and like a desk. So it could definitely be some counterparty. Doesn't have to be them.
Right. There is another Genesis Trading. Wait, was that the same one? There's 2 Genesis Tradings, I believe, here. There is, maybe there's just one. But yeah, so you kind of get a good idea of like who's interacting. This is obviously like a big wallet because, yeah, they're doing, even if it's not Genesis Trading, let's just say it's not Genesis Trading, they're doing some business with Genesis Trading. Okay, so this is another, yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. Like they're literally directly transacting with Genesis Trading, whether it's them or a counterparty. Yeah.
Right. So then, I mean, you can even go like another step further and you can go to DBank and just kind of see what did they do afterwards. So I think, yeah, so like, okay, a lot of money. Then they branched over to Aurora, where they're, heavily in Bastion. Then they like looped a whole bunch of transaction things in Origami. Sorry, I'm not familiar with every single token on every single chain, so bear with me for the
so Origami is like the equivalent of Compound or Aave on Aurora.
So yeah, so you can kind of just see like, okay, they took it out of Deus, they went and they branched to Aurora, and now they're, significantly in Origami. So yeah, takeaway here is you want to find these, kind of top deposit wallets, but you don't even need to find the wallets. The contract itself of where most of the token is located in, set an alert there because you want to see these things. You can also like pick up addresses too. Like even if it's a defensive play, you can say, okay, well maybe now I want to like follow this wallet because, see where they're farming. If they're just kind of jumping from farm to farm, maybe I can extract some farms out of there. So, I've kind of learned something new. Maybe I'll just go to Origami and, take my 32 million. This is me, I'm just kidding. Just take my $32 million and, stick it there. So,
yeah, I want to just pause here a bit and maybe summarize a few things around like this defense theme. Because I think the way people should think about this is when you're moving into a new position. So let's say you're buying a token or you're putting funds into some yield farm. One important thing to think about is like, what's the smart alert I should set up that accompanies this position, right? So if you're putting funds into a yield farm, you might want to set up a smart alert on that farm and just say anything that's above whatever, $1 million or 10 million or whatever, you can of course, inform yourself on what those thresholds should be from top depositors to see just how much money, you know, each individual top depositor has put in. But then you can set up that alert, and you can sort of sleep better at night, or maybe the smart alert won't wake you up at night, but you can feel better just walking around, you know, doing your thing during the day, and you'll get notified like if something big happens in terms of pulling liquidity out. And similarly, if you're buying a token, you might want to do something similar where you're setting up an alert for large transfers. But what I would say, so that's kind of what I would say to people who are using Nansen. I think to our team, we should probably do two things here. Like in the short term, we should help people figure out like what are the exact smart alerts that should accompany, you know, a token purchase. What are the exact smart alerts that should accompany a yield farming deposit, right? And then we could have a couple of examples. And this could be something we write a blog post about or whatever.
Yeah.
But then longer term in the product, I think it would be really cool. Imagine you connect your wallet to Nansen, and Nansen has like some idea of what tokens you care about, right? Why not then just have like an easy way to set up a smart alert based on the contents of your wallet? So if you have these tokens, like here's a quick setup to create a smart alert for your tokens, or you have funds in this yield farm, here's a quick way to set up a smart alert for that yield farm. Like that's where we want to get to, I think, from a product perspective eventually. So it just feels like more integrated and holistic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot, but it's definitely a game of trial and error, like trying to figure out how best to set your smart alerts. Like if you have a spouse and you don't want to do this 24 hours a day, you set your smart alerts so it's, you don't get as many, but while also trying to capture like what's very important to you and what's more important for the token. And then kind of like pooling your smart alerts. So like maybe you just set one smart alert for all the positions that you hold, or, you know, how deep do you want to go? So it's definitely, there's a little bit of learning, but yeah, once you figure it out and, you know, once you start setting these alerts and kind of getting alerts, you can kind of trim it from there and really follow these things closely.
Actually, one thing I wanted to ask you, did you know that you can actually share smart alerts with just the URL?
I did.
Because I'm wondering, have you ever like used that feature? I'm wondering if people share smart alerts with each other, because I think this is something we should try to make a bit easier. And it would be nice if I could like subscribe to your smart alerts.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Or like have I know you guys had a smart alert contest a while ago, but yeah, that'd be cool. It's like Twitter for smart alerts or something like that.
Yeah, we do a bit of smart alert curation in Nansen Alpha. So for example, we have our own curated channels where there's one focused on like vesting unlocks, where, you know, we will just, anything that comes out of those vesting contracts, it just gets piped in there. But yeah, I think it is like a pretty powerful area, and I would like us to focus more on it in the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Every time I come on this show, I have like 4 things I want to cover, and every time I like cover one less of them. So I think on the first time I came on, I had 4 and I covered 4, and then it was like 4 and then I covered 3. This time I had like 4 and I covered 1. So
wait, you had 3 more things?
Oh yeah.
Maybe a speed run. Let's do one of them at least.
The speed run, yeah. So the speed run would be Bean. So we covered this a while back. Actually, in the first office hours, we covered Bean. And this is a good thing if you like showing like how crypto is cumulative. So if you started setting smart alerts for Bean, you would sort of pick up all these interesting addresses that started using Bean and started depositing Bean. So if we just go to like this is a good tool, right? So Bean, I think they started getting incentives with their curve pool. So you can see a lot of people moving Bean from the Beanstalk staking to the actual curve pool itself. So you can kind of just, yeah, that's really good. So you can kind of just see like, okay, who's depositing Bean into the protocol. And I think when we first started doing this, there was not like any smart money. We highlighted like one transaction where somebody like came from FTX and it was like a like unmarked FTX wallet. But now we can kind of see like more people come into Bean and more smart money come into Bean. And so what's interesting is if you just start seeing like these people, you can kind of like start profiling these addresses and clicking on them and see what else they own. And maybe you want to set smart alerts for them too. So you're kind of like building, you're almost like building a network of these Bean people. There was, I guess maybe they left the smart money person. But yeah, you can kind of just like click around to the Bean contracts themselves to see, okay, who's picking up Bean, who's depositing it. Let's try this one actually. And so there's a couple of pools here that you kind of go through. But that's kind of like one of the things where it becomes cumulative. You just kind of start with a token, you set smart alerts, you see interesting people come in, maybe you follow them. Okay, yeah, so here we go, some smart LP here. Maybe you want to, track them and see what happens. So it's kind of like a cumulative game on Bean.
So Bean is a stable coin, or?
Yeah, it's this like credit stable coin. There's like half-hour videos about how it works. I will not try and distill that half-hour video into 1 minute. But yeah, but you can kind of see here, like, okay, Bean's kind of taking off, right? Because you see the volume is kind of exploding here. This is like, okay, yeah, so blur.eth went into the, okay, this is why it isn't working. So, yeah, so in the Curve pool itself, what will happen sometimes is like you will deposit into Curve, but then Curve will deposit into another address. So it will come up as this Zap depositor. You just have to keep going down the line. So yeah, here we go. So what we did was we just kept hitting wallet profiler for token for these huge contracts. Now we can see, okay, blur.eth, some smart money coming in. Maybe you want to follow these people.
Just to understand this, so these guys are actually using the zapper, like the Zap. That's what we're seeing on this particular.
Exactly. Yeah.
So these are they're zapping into this pool, and then that goes to Curve, and then got it.
And this is actually like some like just general crypto alpha in general is like knowing what data sources are correct, because what happens a lot is new contracts come up or they like developers change contracts or things like that. This is not right in DeFi Llama, but like DeFi Llama, I think there's only like 2 people that work there. They can't get all 10,000 protocols right because they're just tracking from certain addresses. But in reality, like the total supply of Bean is going up, and you can kind of see that here. So if we do very quick math, it's like 58 million in total value. While they're saying it's like 20. So you just kind of have to figure out like who's right.
So that's a really good tip. And it's something you see also with exchange flows.
Yeah,
I remember seeing these memes. It was hilarious. I'm not going to name the product because I don't want to like name and shame them. But someone was like, there was this meme that like Chainlink is like exchanges are running out of link tokens, and it was just it's like it's going to zero. It's like, do you really think it's going to zero? And what was happening was that the product that people were using, it didn't have any Coinbase tagging. So whenever people moved link tokens to Coinbase, it looked like they were just withdrawing.
Right.
And so it's very true. You need to have like some degree of consciousness that goes beyond just the charts you're seeing and thinking, how does this data get created? And this is one of the hard parts about running an analytics company in crypto, that sure, you have all the on-chain data, but like connecting it to real world entities and grouping things together, that's where it gets really difficult, right? So it's very understandable that DeFi Llama might not have caught those. But yeah, so the pro tip here is basically to be mindful of like, not all the data will all the time be correct. You need to triangulate and look at a few different sources.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Looks like we've managed to wrap up the whole hour here. So So yeah, thanks for joining us again, Alberto.
Thank
That's
you
a
for
wrap
having
for
me.
today. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you did, then give our video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications. Maybe that's the type of smart alert if you think about it, so you don't miss any alpha
Like
leaks.
it.
Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.